Welcome to The Explainer. To kick things off today, let's actually break the fourth wall for a second and do a quick little physical experiment together. You ready?
Okay, wherever you are right now, I want you to just close your eyes for a sec. See if you can find your pulse, or your breath, or maybe even just a subtle warmth in your chest. And here's the catch. Do it without actually taking your pulse with your fingers. Just feel it. Now you might notice you feel it instantly, or maybe you sense absolutely nothing at all.
Just take a quick moment of silence to sort of search for that quiet, private channel inside yourself.
Well, that hidden sense you're tuning into, it's called interoception. And here's what neuroscience is revealing. This isn't just basic internal plumbing keeping your blood pressure in check. No, it's actually the absolute foundation of our emotions and our very sense of self.
Section 1. The sense with no name. You know, since childhood, we're all taught about the classic 5 outward senses, right? Sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. All of them are geared to map the world beyond our skin. But your brain is actually just as busy sensing inward. Interoception is basically the dedicated system mapping the internal milieu of your own body.
Literally every single second, there is a massive torrent of signals streaming up from your tissues. Your brain is constantly tracking the beat of your heart, the fullness of your lungs, the churn and stretch of your gut, hunger, thirst, temperature, even the deep chemistry of your blood. It's a non-stop 24/7 report on the physical condition of your body.
Moving on to Section 2, Mapping the Material Me. So neuroanatomist A.D. Craig painstakingly traced where all these bodily signals go, and he discovered they don't just vanish into the void. Instead, they converge to build this unified master image of the body's current condition. And I love this, he brilliantly called this representation the material me.
The ultimate destination for this sensory highway is a region called the insula. It's this little fold of cortex hidden deep down beneath the frontal and temporal lobes. Specifically, in the anterior insula, all these signals get integrated. This is literally where interoceptive awareness becomes the awareness of a feeling, conscious self.
And to prove this isn't just some abstract theory, there was a landmark 2004 study by Critchley showing that the felt sense of the body actually has a physical seat. It turns out, how accurately you can count your own heartbeats without touching your chest directly predicts both the neural activity and the actual gray matter volume of your right anterior insula. So your ability to feel yourself is quite literally structurally built into the hardware of your brain.
Next up, Section 3. Feelings from the body up.
Okay, get ready, because this totally inverts our traditional understanding of emotions. The old model basically says, your mind feels fear, and so your body reacts with a racing heart, right? But the interoceptive model argues that the racing heart actually happens first. The emotion of fear is simply your brain's interpretation via the insula of those sudden bodily changes.
So the crucial takeaway here is this. The body is always voting, and the insula is where the votes are counted. This makes so much sense when you think about it. It perfectly explains why grief sits so heavily in your chest, why dread sinks right into your stomach, and why having a gut feeling isn't just a metaphor. It's a genuine, literal, physiological signal that your brain integrates to subtly guide your choices.
Which brings us to Section 4, when a signal misfires.
In a really influential 2006 paper, researchers Paulus and Stein proposed what they called an insular view of anxiety. They showed that anxiety is essentially a mist-tuned prediction. First, the brain over-forecasts a bad body state. It predicts a racing heart or a tight chest. Then, when your actual current body state doesn't match that dire prediction, the brain detects that gap. And it's that very gap that creates the dread, worry, and avoidance we experience as anxiety.
Because of this dynamic, an entire field now views interoception as a sort of hidden axis of mental health. Disrupted interoception is strongly linked to panic attacks from a misread heartbeat, the physical numbness people feel in depression, the distorted bodily signals of eating disorders, and even the hypervigilance of chronic pain. And honestly, this beautifully explains why practices like meditation or breathwork are so effective. By intentionally training your attention on internal sensations without hitting the alarm bell, you can actually steady the mind.
All right, final part. Section 5, the boundaries of the self.
Think about when altered states, like those brought on by psychedelics, interact with the cortex. They can actually shift how the body is mapped in the insula. This creates what we call ego dissolution. It temporarily takes apart the brain's ongoing prediction of your flesh, totally loosening that felt boundary between the material me and absolutely everything outside of it.
Now, before we wrap up, we do need to impartially acknowledge the living scientific frontier here. Researchers caution that the classic heartbeat test can be a bit flawed, mainly because people sometimes just guess based on knowing what a normal pulse feels like rather than truly feeling it. Also, the insula is a highly multi-purpose area. It juggles empathy, disgust, pain, and taste right alongside interoception, and importantly, the links to mental health we just discussed, those are associations at this stage, not definitively proven causes.
But even with those caveats, the main takeaway from this explainer is incredibly profound. The body's inner voice is literally the oldest sense you have. That self you take for granted every single day, it's not just a floating mind looking out at the world. It is a physical body constantly being sensed, mapped, and translated from within.
So as you feel your chest rise and fall right now, I'll leave you to wonder. Is your entire identity simply the insula's ongoing translation of your flesh? Is everything you call you, your emotions, your intuition, your sense of self, really just the feeling of being alive? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me to explore the body's hidden inner voice.